Namaste, all our
Say,
viewers from India and from outside India. A very warm welcome to another episode of the show. Before I introduce to you the moderator and the guest for the evening, let me quickly tell you just a little about the show. We started the show as authors, the authors show exactly 3 years back in 2021. That was the first episode that we had was on 24th of October 2021. And today we are sitting on 27th of October. So that was the beginning of the authors show, the show, the authors show. We changed the name to the show a year back, the beginning of this year, because we wanted to bring in other artists as well. We are having authors, mostly authors, but we also get other artists. And today is the 45th episode that we have. That's quickly and I am Sanjay Chandra. I am I am presenting this show, as they say. But that's just about it. I'll be out of the frame. Let me add the spotlight on the moderator of the evening. That is Vardhan Dharkar for you, a multifaceted personality. He quit his corporate job at the time of COVID and to do a a lot of other activities, and those activities have got nothing to do whatsoever with his either physics background or with his background as CFO or the or chief financial officers across multiple companies. He is learning Sanskrit, he is reading Bhagavad Gita, he is wanting to write something about the relevance of these epics in the modern world. So that's Vardhan Dharkar for you. Welcome on the show, Vardhan. Now, the guest of the evening. That's another multifaceted personality. So let me put the spotlight on him. That's Captain Manmeet Singh Chadha for you. Captain Manmeet Chadha is a multifaceted author with a rich background in maritime service and a flourishing career as an author. And he also quit his job to pursue his passions. And one of the passions, he has several passions which he is going to be talking about during the episode. But one of the passions is writing books. And the one standout novel in his captivating works, one standout novel is Noor, a mesmerizing tale of destiny, music, and the human spirit. The other book is 75 Innovations by India and Indians. I will not talk much about these books. I think during the as the episode progresses, he's going to be talking about it. He called himself. We had an icebreaker chat this morning, and he called himself an army brat. But let me assure you, there is nothing brat about Manmeet. He is very passionate. He's very dedicated, devoted to whatever he is doing, and that's his library behind him, as you can see. So let me hand over the proceedings to Vardhan and Manmeet. Over to you both.
thank you, Sanjay, for your warm introduction. And namaste to all our viewers in Bharat and outside of Bharat. And warm welcome to Captain Manmeet Singh Chadha also. And as Sanjay described, he is really a multifaceted and multi-talented personality. And I'm so eager to have a conversation with you in today's episode. So welcome, Manmeet, to the show. Should we begin our
Thank you.
conversation?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So before we get into your journey as an author, I wanted to ask you one question. Is that by profession you are a marine engineer and spent almost 15 years plus traveling the globe, and then thereafter you have developed so many interests. One of that interest is in the renewable energy and environment protection. I wanted to understand this transformation of you from a marine engineer to your interest and passion in these areas. How did that happen and what caused that?
So first, let me slightly correct you. I'm not an engineer. I'm a captain. Captains are not engineers. But I
Okay.
think you got so carried away by all my consultations in the engineering side that maybe you mix those two up. But it's okay. The safety of environment, while all of society talks about it, we out at sea on the ships were like front runners because we are surrounded by nature almost all the time, right? Except at port when we have some connection with the man-made facility. But apart, when 99% of the time when the ship is sailing, we are in nature, absolutely. And the rules are very strict. And there are continuous, what do you call, leads and actions being taken by various government agencies and private companies to reduce marine pollution, whether it is even the smoke emissions from our ships, even though they are thousands of miles away, to the garbage that we dump out at sea. We are very particular about that. So, this inherent save the nature thing actually started from my experience out at sea. And I personally have taken a couple of initiatives where on one of my ships, because I saw a lot of plastic waste getting generated, we stopped it and put an RO on the ship and gave bottles to all the crew to take their water rather than just everybody taking cases of mineral water. So the that inherent nature came in from there. I have to give credit to my seafaring career for the love for nature. And naturally, when I came out here, I was mostly consulting in power plants, and that led me to solar consulting and technology. So um, I'm very fired up about history and India. And that brought me into mixing all the three. It was an Ikagai moment where my passion for history, India, and innovations by Indians that came, and then my love for writing. So that brought the second book out, which was 75 Innovations by India and Indians. This is a book. It's been received very warmly by almost all industry veterans who have received it, because here I'm dwelling about both present inventions and past, and I'm willing to go even thousands of years, even though I haven't touched that out in detail, because the inventions which happen are a subject by itself and require a very huge book. And I was concentrating more on the last century, so which is more relatable to today's youth. So whether it is simple things, day-to-day items, Bose speakers were invented by an Indian, Mr. Bose, to fiber optics, Indians, and even the first plane flown was not flown by the Wright brothers, it was flown by an Indian in 1901 at Chopati Beach. But Indians don't know about it because it has always been kept away by the Western media that, we are a third world backward country. Those we do the rope trick by the magicians, and snake charmers.
Hmm.
That is what is the picture being given in the West, that this is the country of snake charmers and magicians who carry out the rope trick, while they don't realize that most of the science which they are taking pride that they have developed actually started most probably has its roots in India. So this is something which I discovered during my research, and the um, which was a very gradual progression from my first book, which is a purely uh, work of fiction, a work of passion about a girl's journey from across the border and how she faces multiple troubles from the time she's born till she achieves her place in the world. So the first book which came out was Noor, and that's Noor, and very happy to say that it's well received, loved by almost everybody who's read it. And Prabhat Prakashan brought out the Hindi version also. This came out.
Yeah.
I'll be officially launching it soon, but the book is already out. So that is kind of my writing journey about innovations. Yeah.
So, my second question was actually on the book 75 Innovations by India and Indians. How
Yes.
did you go about documenting these 75 innovations by India and Indians? And in the first place, what prompted you to actually think about this topic and to bring out this aspect of India, which is unknown to actually most of the Indians itself? And how much time you spent in researching and what difficulties you faced in that?
Okay, so I'll lay out a very hidden secret. I am the owner of one of the startups which has made an innovation in solar technology, and the um, my team, my partners who are there, are someone who have been innovating for many years, and they have been recognized by the Innovation Foundation of India. Now,
Mm.
what I found very surprising is even if I go and talk to a normal engineer and share with them some of the innovation that my team has done previously, they're not willing to believe it. It's only when I tell them that the Innovation Foundation of India has got involved with them and they are supporting them. Okay, okay. Because we are, while all of us are living thinking that we are facing a time where there's too much information, actually, our limitation are the goalposts that have been driven into our heads or drilled into our heads from our education. So, with the limits which have been placed by science, which we have taken for granted. You see, recently, I'll share a couple of scientific discoveries that have happened in the last, let's say, few months. One of the discoveries is that there is a possibility of there is something faster than the speed of light. So, for
Mhm.
almost the longest possible time, after Einstein discovered that the speed of light is so and so, it was taken for granted that there's nothing faster in the universe than the speed of light. So, in the last couple of months, they're coming out with the theory that it's possible that there's something greater than the speed of light. Second thing which I could share with you is that the scientists, astrophysicists, and so on, the wiser lot, and the astronomers had given a certain time for the Big Bang. That Big Bang happened at this time so many billions of years ago, and the universe
Mm.
is expanding and blah, 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 blah. Suddenly, with the latest telescopes which have gone up, the Hubble and the other telescopes, and they are photographing the various parts of the universe, they are discovering that certain areas in the universe were formed at a time even before the Big Bang, which is impossible. Because if the universe started with the Big Bang, it's not
Yeah.
possible. That means the timeline is wrong. So
Mm.
what I'm trying to tell you is, while this is like the brightest minds, if you are trying to say that Einstein was wrong, you see, Einstein was not wrong. Einstein was right at his point in time. But the goalposts are always changing. And what I've shared with you is maybe a very big example. Even on the smaller sides, the things in science that we take for which are fixed, there are chances that those limits, those formulas are not limiting to science. So I got into this part about where I said, well, how about innovations? And innovation by itself, if I go for the world, it is too big a subject. So I said, let me stick to India. And the more I discovered, believe me, I was more in awe. I had 200 discoveries by the time I finished compiling my book, and there were just far too many to put into a book. The book is as it is pretty big. It's 100,000 words, which is very big by any standards. And I don't think anybody else will want to go to a book which is bigger than that because it becomes a little impractical, especially a technical book. And it was the 75th year, by strange coincidence, of our Republic Day. So the book was launched on the 10th of March in Vigyan Bhavan. So I took the opportunity and then I said, let me go with 75. 75th Republic Day and 75 innovation. That's how the book came about. This is a
Okay.
year and a half's research.
Mhm.
1 year and a half, yeah.
Okay. And how did you go about doing that research? Because it is not something which is for last 10 years or 20 years. It spans across the centuries. So how did you manage to get that information
Here,
and
what we did,
authenticate?
like I said, the problem was not finding the data. The problem was there was too much data. Part
Mm.
one. Part two, authentication of data. You see,
Yeah.
one thing which I, in my own mind, controversially brought into the book was I also wanted to show a background of a rich history of India. So, from the first plastic surgeon or plastic surgery that happened in India, brain surgery happened in India. You'll be shocked to know there is one factor which is there in the media that most of the people who talk about the scientific achievements of Indians in the past, unfortunately, happen to be from the ruling party. The opposition party don't want to talk about it. So people who look at them talking mostly think that it is some, Hindu promotion or something like that, which is wrong. So the fact is a fact. Outside, I don't remember which city in Sydney, the Australian Medical Association, there is a statue of Surashtra. He's considered the
Mhm.
father of modern surgery.
Okay.
If Australia can have it and accept that he's the master of surgery, we are not seeing his, people talking about him in India. So that is very sad. Same thing about the aeroplane. By the way, there is a movie out on this that where they showcase this that the first plane was flown by an Indian, but
Yeah.
it is not there in the media. It's not there in our books. So education
Yes.
system is just following on what the British left for us, with a little bit tweaking here or there. But the real richness of innovations done by Indians that has been kept out. So how do you inspire the youth today? They need to know what all Indians have achieved. About computers, that is the other shocking part. While some things
Mhm.
I was aware, like Hotmail by Sabir Bhatia, the fact that USB was done by an Indian, the fact that Wi-Fi, there was an Indian on that team, the fact that Pentium computers was purely done by an Indian. Computers, that means a major part of computing, there are a lot of Indian input into it. And
Mhm.
while everybody is aware, NASA, bulk of the engineers who are there in NASA, significant, maybe 30-40% are from India. But uh, how do you quantify that? So the whatever somebody has innovated has to be captured and then put. And every innovation, by the way, I have taken the trouble to find out if it has won an award or there is
Mhm.
some very great personality talking about it. It's
Mhm.
quantified. It is not just cut and paste. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of work, research, and work and editing done to get it right. So I've just kept 15, uh, 15 innovations from India's history, historical past.
Mhm. Yeah.
And uh, the, I'm very happy to say that the chairman of the Indian Foundation, I stand corrected,
Mhm.
there are 12 innovations from India's past. When I say
Mhm.
past, I mean hundreds of years. And in the last century, the bulk remaining uh, 62, 63 innovations are there. But I've
Okay.
also added another 13 innovations of the future,
Okay.
which is in process right now. Research is going on and will become the future of
Mhm.
India. So that's very important that our youth and our young management teams are aware of what all India has done and is doing.
I think it's a great effort and really good thing that you have done, that you have talked about India's contribution to innovation, because that is something which all of us have to first of all know, and we have to start taking pride into that. I think that is something which is very important. Just last week, I was reading an article about global index of innovations and where do each of the countries stand. And I think our ranking, India's ranking in that was in the 30s or 39, if I remember correctly. Now, I wanted to know from you, what is it that we as Indians, citizens, corporate sector, and government can do to improve our ranking to become in top 10?
One thing which is not much talked about, but is very common in the West. Most of the major Ivy League schools which are there, whether it's Harvard, MIT, Stanford, or Cambridge or Oxford, you would, once in a while hear of some alumni donating $100 million to it or $150 million to it. And we don't get to hear that much here in India. I'll share a very surprising fact with you. Almost 70 to 80% of CEOs of American companies, major American companies, are Indians.
Yes.
And most of these guys have passed out from IITs and IIMs. So maybe I request them to start pumping in, each of them gifting, 100 or a 500 crore check to the IITs that they are passed out of, so that we need funds, you need infrastructure, you need the latest equipment. So the IIT in the IITs, the will is there, the intention is there to invent more. There is a rapid change happening in our education system. Incubation centers have been set up at various IITs. The government is actually pushing even partnership of IITs with private players. There are combinations and all that happening. But the if India has to compete on the scale with, say, just the US and the other countries, then um, the input has to come from the private side, and they should, get India going. And the one thing we are lacking, which everybody talks about in a very hush hush tone, India sadly doesn't have any global company driven by technology. We are more of a service based thing. So we own the world's biggest IT companies and give the IT manpower technology time to the biggest companies in the world. But we don't own a company which drives technology because we are not inherently innovative. We are adaptive. We are adaptive. जुगाड़ कर लेते हैं हम. We are very good at
Yeah.
flexing. But maybe this book is an effort in that direction that Indians have innovated in the past and are innovating too. It's also possible that maybe Indian innovations are not being applied for patents in the US and they're not getting recognized. I don't think India is so far behind. We must be most probably in the top 10 because the
Mhm.
number of innovations coming out of India, believe me, the coming decade is India's decade. Surely,
Okay.
surely. One point I'd like to correct for the sake of our listeners. The book is talking. I was hoping you would ask me why did you not say only Indians? So why are you saying India and Indians? So I there was a twist behind it. Many of the Indians who were born here and went away to the
Yeah.
US, they're
Yes.
technically Indians for the purpose of this
Yeah.
book. So if you start arguing with me that nay, they are Americans now, okay, yeah, okay, technically you're right. And when I say India, then I also had to add innovations by the government, Aadhaar, UPI,
Yes. Yes.
and that is an effort by the government of India, and that had to be captured and that had to be shared. And
Yes.
most of the countries are looking up to us and talking about doing it India's way. So believe me, there's a lot of good happening, even by the government. The government is taking a very bold step, especially
Mm.
under the Make in India campaign. It's not just limited to defense. It's across the board, but maybe it will take time because the older mindsets need to change
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the right people need to come and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very sure that our contribution to the innovation in future will keep improving. Now, coming to your book, Noor, how did you go about, or how did you get this idea? How did you go on? What are the brief story of this book, and what are the protagonists in that book, and how is that book received by the audience?
Frankly, I'll give you the history of the book before it was written. I was both the times on ship when COVID happened, and I was there for a long period of time,
Mm.
almost 7 months the first time and 8.5 months the second time.
Mhm.
And I happened to hear a lot of sad stories.
Mm.
One of the things that stuck with me or stuck a chord were a lot of people from the TV and cinema line who were like on the second level or third level. By that I mean people who are in the background, like assistant directors, cameramen, actors from smaller cities, like small character actors, smaller singers, and all that. They were trapped because the lockdown, there were no payments coming, and they didn't want to go back home because किस मुंह से जाएंगे, and some of them ended up committing suicide. I uh, very fervently believe in women empowerment also. So I then somehow said, let me write something around the film industry. And I chose the music industry. The film industry is too wide. So I chose the music industry and then wrote a story of a singer. So that's how it came about. And there was a lot of research, almost 2 years of research before the book was published initially in 22, April 22. And I'm very happy to say one of very famous Bollywood singers, Mahalakshmi Iyer, she loved the book. I sent it to her, and she has written the foreword of the book.
Yeah.
So Mahalakshmi Iyer loved the book and said, I can relate to many parts of the story. And that was really heartfelt, because the not being from the music industry and writing a book and then hoping that somebody from the industry reads it and says this is rubbish, rather than that they're telling me that it really, this is the way it is. Believe
Yes.
me, it was a very heartening moment.
Yes. So maybe if you can very briefly talk about the book itself, what the story is all about.
So it's a story of a girl, and so I've tried to capture many of the things that the troubles girls go through. So it starts from female infanticide. The book actually starts from there, that the parents, instead of looking at finishing off her life, they give her away to another family, and that happens to be across the border. So the kid is born in Pakistan, given to a relative in India across the border when borders were open, and then she grows up here by some nomads. There's some fighting, some are killed. Then she's adopted by a BSF officer, and then the problems with her stepmother, troubles with her stepmother, and then she keeps growing up, but her grandmother kind of, takes a liking to her and grooms her, and she discovers a love for music and singing. And gradually, then she comes to Bombay, succeeds, and then the troubles that she faces in Bombay.
Mm.
And I added the angle in this about, and this happened automatically. I didn't plan this. This happened
Mm.
that if you remember in 1617, all the Pakistani singers were chucked out
Yeah.
of India. All
Yeah.
Pakistani artists, by the way, not just singers. And she happens to be in Pakistan at that time when they are chucked away. So she's trapped.
Mm.
And she has a very serious identity crisis because uh,
Mm.
having lived and grown up in India all her life, the only thing which is Pakistani in her is she was born in Pakistan. Nothing else. Within a
Yeah.
few hours of getting born, she was given away. So she has that crisis, and how she
Mm.
goes through all these things eventually wins. So that's what the book is all about. There's also a very
Very.
important character in the book called Wazir.
Mm.
And I have shown how Wazir evolves as a character and sadly
Mm.
chooses to go to the dark side. Anything for success. We face these people in our circles all the time, We hear about them. वो आगे बढ़ने के लिए कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. So that
Yeah.
Wazir is there who is always troubling her. And
Mm.
so this is a book about a story about Noor and Wazir, how they
Very
adapt.
interesting. Very interesting, and I am very sure that viewers now would be interested in buying and reading the book. So, coming to your future plans, what should we expect from you in next 12 months, 24 months?
Well, the author journey is started by God's grace. Prabhat Prakashan liked the book and they republished the book just a few months back, both in English and Hindi. And the I have recently signed contract with a um, big publishing house called um, um, Srishti. And hopefully within the year, my next book should come out with them. That's going to be a thriller.
Uh-huh.
And I am presently working on another book about India as a power, India as a growing power.
Mhm.
So that is purely research. So that will take some time. Hopefully, in
Okay.
another year, these two books should come out and the readers should love it. Yeah.
No, very sure. I'm very sure that everybody will be looking forward to reading the books, and that's something which is will keep us interested in finding out about your journey in the future. So, Sanjay, if we have time, can we have a rapid fire round?
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. So, Manmeet, we as part of the show also have a rapid fire round. I'm sure you would enjoy being part of that.
Shoot away. I hope
Perfect.
I can answer your questions. Yeah.
So, first question: life as a marine engineer or serial entrepreneur? If you have to choose one.
Oh, God. That's a tough one. Uh, I absolutely love sailing. It's a beautiful life. All that I am today, my status, my learnings have been given to me by sea. I correct you again, it's not engineer, it's a sailing captain.
Yeah.
out from
Sorry,
the sea.
my mistake. My mistake.
Uh, at the moment, serial entrepreneur because I'm close to my loved ones, close to my family. At the moment, I will choose this. Yeah.
Your favorite patriotic song?
Oh, oh God.
Life is never easy.
I'll tell you something. I can't remember the song per se, but there's a song sung by Lata Mangeshkar
Okay.
after the 62 war. If you
I
remember
मेरे
that
Okay.
वतन
song.
के
ए,
लोगों
ए मेरे वतन के लोगों.
ए मेरे वतन के लोग अबे आंख में भर लो पानी.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
Next
other one,
question.
of course, is Ma Tujhe Salam by A.R.
Yeah.
Rahman.
Yeah, yeah,
Vande Mataram.
yes. The next question. The top three innovations of India.
Top three innovations of India. Okay. Since you insist, let's go with Zero by Aryabhatta. Mathematics
Yes.
started from there. That
Yes.
definitely is India. Recently, and this is going to be part of my next book, they have discovered that Newton's laws of motion, all the three, were published by a Kerala school in the 14th century.
Okay.
What a lot of people don't know is Newton knew how to read Sanskrit.
Okay.
And um, it's it, cross fingers, most probably he read the book and translated it, and that's how the Newton's laws of motions came. But
Okay.
um, even before the 14th century, there are some Sanskrit scholars who have said that it's in the Vedic, in pure Sanskrit, even thousands of years back. It is
Okay.
very clearly given about what Newton has said. So the laws of motion actually are there. They are again India's invention.
Okay.
And the last one, if I want to give, I will give a very odd one. It's, fiber optics were discovered by an Indian,
Okay.
Sikh Mr. Kapani, who went
Okay.
on to settle in the US and he was living
Mhm.
in Palo Alto, California.
Okay.
This is the 1950s. He's one of the Sikhs, one of the Indians who's been denied a Nobel Prize because he discovered fiber optics. Believe me,
Mhm.
everything in the communication in the world now is running on fiber optics. That is the
Yes.
backbone. And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
thanks to him. And that's by an Indian. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. According to you, India of 2047 will be complete the sentence.
Oh, India will be a developed country. India will be a superpower. And India will have its rightful place in the world. We'll be seeing eye to eye with literally every country.
Okay.
And believe me, as it is right now, you all are aware of this, that many of the South Asian countries, Pakistan, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, whenever they are now going to foreign countries and they get confronted by other people, where are you from? They do not say we are from Bangladesh
Mhm.
or do not say we are from Sri Lanka, they say we are Indians.
Perfect.
This will move
Perfect.
on to even the Arab world because the kind of safety and strength just saying that you're from India gives. There are too many videos out there which are not popularized so much, where Pakistanis have got caught in a wrong spot and they have had to say they are Indians just to get
Mhm.
away. And
Perfect.
this is the common Pakistani or even the celebrities. If that is happening now, believe me, in the future, everyone will be taking pride in saying uh, we are Indian. Yeah.
Perfect. You have scored 10 out of 10. And I wish you all the best for your future endeavors and look forward to having you on the show again sometime in near future. Now I hand over the proceedings to Sanjay to take it forward.
So thank you so much, Manmeet, for being with us this evening. I often wondered, what took us so long to come together once again. We met, I think, exactly 2 years back in Corbett, and so it has taken us 2 years, but it was worth the wait. We are definitely looking forward to more of your works in future. And viewers, please do
Thank
read.
you.
And viewers, please do read Manmeet's books. They are very interesting, and I have read Noor actually, and I loved reading it. And the 75 Innovations. Please do read, and please do share your reviews about the books. So that was a nice evening, and I wish every one of you a very happy Diwali. Please stay safe and have a nice, wonderful Sunday evening. So thank you once again, Manmeet. Thank you, Vardhan.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and
Thank
happy
you.
Diwali to everyone.
Happy